Pity, a novel by Tessa Lour. Dedicated to my dad for everything. This is a work of fiction, based on events written in the Bible. Names, characters, places, and incidents are products of the author's imagination or are used fictitiously and are not to be construed as real. Any resemblance to actual events, locales, organizations, or persons, living or dead, is entirely coincidental. Content warnings include domestic violence, sexual violence, murder, death, death of a child, verbal abuse, suicide, and drug abuse. Reader's discretion is advised. Chapter 1: Afterlife. You're a disgrace. You are no child of God, no child of mine. My death didn't last longer than 5 minutes. That's what the doctor told me. I know you want it. Just hold still. It'll be quick. Truthfully, right before I swallowed the pills, I almost regretted it. If you leave now, I'll kill myself. Do you hear me? It'll be your fault. Maybe that's why I survived. Don't tell your mom. This is our secret, okay? You're so special to me. It's possible I took less pills on purpose without realizing it. It is still possible to miscarry, even at 16 weeks. I'm so sorry for your loss. Enough to die temporarily, but not enough to keep me in death. Dominic didn't make it. He died in his sleep. But I did really die. The doctor said so herself. You are not good enough, but Jesus is. Find comfort in being alone. After everything I was forced to survive, suicide had never been on the list. It's not like I enjoy hurting you, Alex, but you're forcing me to do this. Alex? My head is pounding. I'm afraid if I open my eyes, I'll be back in my apartment. Nothing will have changed, and I'm still alive, even after that handful of little white oval-shaped pills slid down my throat. I'll still be laying on the dark green carpet, surrounded by dust bunnies and crumbs from a variety of donuts and chips, one leg halfway stuck underneath my futon, and my fingers loosely clutching the little yellow-orange bottle of pills. Was I ever actually unconscious, hanging between the threads of life and death? Or did I really just fall asleep on the floor? The dirty, crummy floor. Embarrassing. Alex, can you hear me? Someone is shaking me, gently. It's a man. His fingertips are icy against my skin, making goosebumps flicker all over my body, and I shiver. He says my name again, and I notice his voice is firm and sure, like he's been expecting to find me and wake me up. I recognize it, but I know I have to be wrong. He sounds like my dad, but more juvenile and much less panicked than expected. How could he have found me so quickly? How long has it been? I groan at the thought of seeing the room swirling around me. If only I could avoid it. Come on, Al. I know you're awake. Open your eyes. Reluctantly, I do as he says, and I'm immediately blinded by some strange white lights. Fluorescence? No. The suffocation from hospital lights is a lot more consuming than this. My head twists quickly like I'm panicking, but I'm not. There isn't anything around me, just the whiteness and the blurry figure of a man in front of me. My eyes must still be adjusting. He looks like I need to put my glasses on. I could have sworn I was wearing them, though. Maybe I'm not really in my apartment like I thought, or I lost them, which wouldn't surprise me. Where am I? I ask him through a sore throat. His face slowly comes into focus as I blink more rapidly to let my eyes adapt. He smiles. He's familiar. The short, pin-straight brown hair and hazel eyes, the toothy smile, the single dimple on his left cheek. He looks just like me except for his short hair. My alter ego, the best version of me, but he's a man. He's somebody I never thought I'd see again in my lifetime. My brother. Wait, my brother? The afterlife, he says. Dominic? Yes. Dominic! I force my body up and throw my arms around him. My lungs press against my chest with the pressure of 1,000 needles, but I force myself to ignore the pain. This is crazy. You're here. You're right in front of me. He hugs me back but releases me quickly, pushing lightly onto my arms. Of course I'm here, but you need to lay back down before you hurt yourself. How is this possible? I ask, letting my back relax again into the floor, the pain in my chest soothing itself. The ground tickles my skin. It's cold, but not quite the same as when Dominic was shaking me. You look so alive. Where are we? The afterlife, he repeats. And of course I look alive. It's not like I'm still sick. The what? How? You're dead. No, I argue, the initial thrill of seeing my dead brother wearing off. You're dead. Alex? Dom? I search his eyes for any hint of sarcasm and find nothing. He used to be so much easier to read. Every feature on his face would completely betray any glimmer of hope he'd had in keeping his emotions a secret. Now all I can see in his expression is it softening. He looks at me seriously, eyebrows furrowed. You are dead, Al. Dead? What? What? A cough creeps up in my throat, so I roll over onto my side, desperate to suppress it. I died? Like, actually died? Actually, yes. He sits back on his feet. He must have been kneeling before. Technically, yes. Technically? I repeat, propping myself up on my elbows. In the physical world at this moment, Dad is finding your body. The last call you made to him led him to believe you wanted to take your life, so the first thing he did was call the paramedics and go to your apartment. But I'm already dead. You just said so. He's too late. Right, but you will be revived in under 5 minutes. I'm not sure I understand. Dominic pulls his lips into a thin line. It'll get easier in a little while. What does that mean? He stands up and reaches a hand out to me. Come with me, and we will find out everything together. We? Yes, and I am taking you to meet someone. Let's go. Meet who? You'll see. Since when are you so mysterious? Just tell me. But that takes all the fun out of it. Dominic, can you be serious for like 1 second? This is all happening so fast. I mean, I just found out I'm dead, and now you're taking me to meet, whoever, I guess, and we only have 5 minutes to do whatever it is we need to do. Alex, my brother readjusts his hand so it's directly in front of my face now, making me feel cross-eyed. I don't know how much ground we're going to have to cover, but I do know it's going to take a while. You just have to trust me. Gonna take a while. I scoff and smack his hand away, but he just puts it right back. I narrow my eyes on him. That's awfully bold. How do I know this isn't a prank? I should say the same to you, he retorts. Ending up here so quickly after me only to be revived, abandoning me? Talk about a prank. Touché. I take a moment to try reading his mind, searching his eyes for any answers, but it fails, so I take his hand and he helps me stand up. I decide not to ask any more questions. Clearly, he isn't going to fill me in on much more at the moment, and harassing him hasn't done me any good thus far. While we're walking, the surroundings don't change, so I don't know how far we've gone. The only thing worth paying attention to at the moment is Dominic. He hasn't changed a bit since I last saw him, except his face is a bit more full of color now. He's still a couple inches taller than me and taking exceptionally long strides that force me to jog a little bit just to keep up. He's got on a matching tan shirt and shorts and bright green canvas shoes. He's always loved green. I look down and see that mine are the same style, but in pink. Dominic remains silent, holding my hand lightly, but still sort of dragging me along, like he thinks I'm gonna bolt. It's not like there's anywhere for me to go, nor do I feel the need to pass up spending time with my dead brother, no matter how stubborn he's being. Though it's not like I can be surprised he's acting like this. He's sort of always been a little aloof. I still haven't fully registered being here with him. I guess I haven't registered being here at all, really. This world that we're in, however, is not at all what I expected to see when I died. There's no chariots, no streets of gold, nothing to indicate whatsoever that we're in the most beautiful version of heaven that I've heard so much about. Around us is all just whiteness. The most that stands out is the tapping of our feet on the white floor, if it could even be considered a floor. It sounds like we're walking on marble, but I feel like I'm walking on air. I finally see a door come into view. I can only assume that's where Dominic's been leading me, seeing as there's nothing else around us and he still hasn't told me anything useful. I try asking him to tell me where he's taking me a few more times, but I'm once again met with silence or occasionally a combination of a grunt and a laugh. As we approach, the door swings open. On the other side, there's another man in long orange and brown robes who appears to be waiting for us. His features are prominent. His long hair is white and his skin is deeply tanned and wrinkled like he's been out in the sun for decades. Once we're within range, the second man smiles widely, showing a narrow set of yellowed teeth, and reaches his arms out. He grabs one of Dominic's hands with both of his and shakes them cheerily. They must know each other. Then again, Dominic has always been pretty friendly, even with strangers. "Joe," my brother says, "it's nice to see you again." "The pleasure is mine, Dominic," the man replies. "And I've asked you not to call me Joe. It's Job, remember? Job." His lips make a muted popping sound for added emphasis. "Oh, you know I just like messing with you." "Of course." "Ha! See? I can laugh too. Please, come in. Make yourself at home." "Job? Like from the Bible?" I ask. My eyes bounce back and forth between the two of them, looking for an answer, but neither of them acknowledge that I've said anything. I feel my eyebrows furrowing into each other, and I try to force them to relax, but it doesn't work. "Thank you, thank you. This," my brother gestures to me, "is Alexandra Monet, better known as Alex to her friends and family, and sometimes her enemies. She's my sister, twin sister to be exact." My eyes continue to flash, and I notice Job's mouth takes an O shape. He smiles at me. I try to smile back, but I think I'm just making myself look scared, or possibly tormented. "Of course. Alex, it's wonderful to meet you." "You too," I manage to say, confusion and shock still overriding my thoughts. "What are we doing here, if you don't mind my asking?" "Alex," Dominic says to me, "you are probably going to learn a lot during your short time here in the afterlife. Honestly, so am I. That's why we're both with Job now." "What, like Christianity is real and all that?" He scrunches his brow, then lets his face relax. "We shall see," he muses. "See? How? You said I'd be revived in less than 5 minutes. That's not a whole lot of time to do much learning." He smiles again, showing every tooth again. "Believe it or not, time doesn't exist when you're dead. You will stay for as long as necessary. Whenever the time comes, you will go back to your physical body." "But I don't understand. What am I supposed to be learning? How will I know when the time is right for me to be revived?" He finally drops my hand and gives me a soft smile. "We're doing this together. I'll be here the whole time, doing all the learning stuff with you. And in regards to you being revived, you don't really get to make that decision. But let's go inside and find out, okay?" "But how do you—" Job lightly touches my arm to get my attention, stopping me from finishing my question. I flinch. His hand is just as icy cold as Dominic's, and my goosebumps return. "It's all right, dear. Dominic brought you to me first for a reason. Why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself?" He leads me into the little room through the door, where a large living room appears. There are candles everywhere, giving the room a cozy yellow glow. It's a stunning setup. It looks straight out of one of the Victorian palaces I've seen in movies, complete with large bookcases filled to the brim with leather-bound, thick books, a golden tea set in the center of a gray and black marble coffee table, and chairs that look so lush they could be made out of actual clouds, or cotton candy. I resist the urge to barrel into the cushions and sit down in one of the dark brown armchairs. My body fully sinks into it. Dominic sits in an identical chair a few feet away from me. We both pat the sides of the chair at the same time, a habit we picked up from our dad when we were growing up. He wiggles his eyebrows at me. I forgot how simple it is for him to make me feel so at ease. "Wow," I say. "This is so comfortable." "I thank you," Job says, seating himself across the room on one of the couches. "Chose everything myself." "Good, that's good." I nod. "Excellent taste. Very Elizabethan." "Ah, keen eye," he claps excitedly. "Yes, that era is a guilty pleasure of mine. I'm sure you'd be surprised to hear, but during my time here I've read many books that were written during the Elizabethan era. Georgian and Victorian, too." I can imagine that's been a long time. And a lot of books. "How long have you been here?" Dominic asks. I'm shocked he doesn't already know. They seem so friendly with each other. "Yes, it most certainly has been a while." Job nods and shifts slightly in his seat. "Too long to even count, I'd say. But enough about me, please. Job reaches over and pours some tea into 2 small mugs, then hands it to my brother and me. Tell me, what's it smell like? I sniff the drink. It's vanilla and pumpkin. A wonderful flavor combination. You have good taste. I'm learning so much already. And you, Dominic? What do you mean? I ask. Mine is mint and lemon, Dominic says, purposefully ignoring me. Again. This tea changes for its drinker. Isn't that great? Something for everyone, Job says, redirecting his attention to me once more. I smile and nod in agreement. So, Alex, tell me about you. Why you're here. My head tilts slightly in confusion. I thought you were going to tell me. Alex, Dominic says, and my gaze shifts towards him. Haven't you heard of Job? What? I can't figure out how to reply properly. Do you know my story? I think that's what your brother is asking, Job interjects. The features in his face relax, becoming softer, more tender. His eyes gloss over a little, allowing for their brownness to intensify, making them more noticeable. I suppose not just anyone shows up at your door without a reason, I say. Job presses his lips into a tight, thin line. No, I don't usually see everyone who arrives in the afterlife. Only on special occasions. Just those who might connect with you. I pause, feeling my face try to scrunch up and biting my cheek to stop it. In one way or another. The tenderness in his expression falls, and he shifts again in his seat. You must know more than you lead on. So must you, I say. It seems like you know my death isn't permanent. Yes. I confess that I was made aware of your arrival ahead of time. Well, then I confess I am familiar with your story, I confirm. I was briefly involved with the church before my death, so I know a fair amount about you. Well, I mean, I did read quite a bit of the Bible, which includes reading your story. Yeah. Job bobs his head up and down minimally. I see. Perhaps you don't want to share with me what happened to you, or how you ended up at my door. And although I have an inkling, I will not demand confirmation from you if you are unsure of revealing such to me. But if what I believe is true, or just a little close, I think I know what it is you require from me. You say you know my story, which leads me to believe that you've read all about me and had deep discussions about my life, everything and everyone I lost during that short time, how I reacted to what the Lord did to me, my friends, and all of that. He stands and walks to the door behind the armchair where I'm sitting, the one we came through when we first arrived. But there are some parts of my story that are untold. I was never allowed to, rather, speak for myself before words were put into my mouth. Would you want to, Alex, know these missing parts? My mouth drops open slightly again. Yes, I think so. He rests one hand on the doorknob and stretches the other in my direction. I take one final swig of my tea, then move towards him. I take his outstretched hand. Then Dominic grabs hold of my other hand, standing close behind me. The coldness of their touch is becoming more and more uncomfortably familiar. I wonder if everyone feels like this in the afterlife. I may not have all the answers you seek right now, Alex, Job says, but you at least deserve to know the truth of what I really went through during my time on Earth. To see it for yourself. See it? What? Where are you taking us? This time he doesn't answer me, but opens the door and leads us through it. On the other side, a wide green plain is before us, complete with hundreds of farm animals and half as many people wandering gracefully through rows and rows of lusciously grown fruits and vegetables, chatting animatedly with one another. They all look so happy, skipping around, plucking food from the gardens, and placing them into their baskets, the sun shining sweetly on them. There's a small, surprisingly well put-together cottage off to the side of the farm, complete with a thatched roof and a spacious porch. Standing directly ahead of us on the front steps is a young man. Striking features, glistening tanned skin, long dark brown hair. Job, many, many years ago. End of chapter 1.